Welcome to Talk Vietnam. Right now I'm standing at the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center under the Animals Asia Foundation located in Tam Dao National Park. In recent years, Vietnam has made tremendous progress in bear rescue. It is due to the stricter law enforcement as well as increasing awareness of the people. But this would not happen without the support of international friends who have been living in Vietnam for many years. So let's join me today to talk to them.
They come from different countries. They have different interests. Each person takes different responsibilities. She is an operator, a manager to make policies and benefits for the bear care department and the veterinary team. He is always enthusiastic about training activities to improve professional qualifications for young veterinarians in Vietnam. She played a pioneering role in implementing a physical therapy program for the bear, which greatly improved the bear's mobility. They all dedicate their time, effort, and enthusiasm to a common goal and love at the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center. Heidi Quinn, Australia, Director of Veterinary Medicine and Bear Management. Sean Thompson, New Zealand, Senior Veterinary Surgeon. Sarah Van Herpt, New Zealand, Senior Bear Team Manager.
Well, first of all, thank you, Sean, Heidi, and Sarah. Welcome to Talk Vietnam. How are you today?
Really excited you're here.
Yeah, it's a lovely afternoon, and it's great to be here and talk about bear rescue and conservation in Vietnam. The first question I want to ask is the article published in November in 2021 by National Geographic and quoting Animals Asia. What indicators do you think are showing that bear farming is decreasing in Vietnam, is actually fading away in Vietnam?
So there's a number of indicators. The first one, I think, when you look at the number of bears that are actually on farms right now, it's less than 400. You compare that to some years ago and it's dramatically reduced. And what that speaks to is a reduction in consumer demand. So the demand for bear bile is drying up. And I think what's behind that is a change in the social consciousness as people move away from using wildlife products and look to things like herbal alternatives.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Sarah?
There's some of the changes that I've seen in the way that people even look after their own animals at home. I think people are starting to really care and really understand that animals are sentient beings too, and that they deserve our love and support just as much as each other does.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Sean?
Yeah, very similar to what Sarah and Heidi have said. And as the markets in the world get more international and people question where the products they consume or they wear come from, obviously bear bile becomes a question of, is this good?
Mm-hmm.
As times and tastes change, Vietnam's bear bile industry is fading away. That is the title of an article published by the world-famous National Geographic magazine on the 18th of November 2021. The article states that most Vietnamese bear bile farms have closed down, citing a research published by the Conservation and Society journal. Consumers are apathetic about the use of bear bile in traditional medicine. According to the Animals Asia Foundation, the number of bears kept captive on farms has decreased by 90% in the past 15 years. This is a tremendous success for Vietnam, which used to be a hotspot for bear bile farming and trading.
Now, compared to 15 years ago, how has the situation in terms of bear bile farming in Vietnam and bear rescue in Vietnam been improved?
It's a very different landscape. 15 years ago, there were over 3,500 bears on farms across Vietnam. You compare that now to just less than 400. So it's very, very different. One of the biggest reasons for that is that there are now sanctuaries like ours, like the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center in the country. What these facilities like ours have done have given the authorities options. So it means the authorities can confiscate bears and bring them somewhere, to a place like ours. So the landscape in the last 15 years has certainly changed.
How about the legal framework that Vietnam is carrying out to stop bear by farming?
Yeah, so the Vietnamese government has really taken some concrete steps to eradicating the bear bile trade here in the country. I think the first one of note would be 1992, when the trade first became illegal. Then subsequently, 2005, there was another piece of legislation passed which meant that farmers needed to register their bears, they needed to agree not to extract bile anymore, and also agree that if their bears were to pass away, they weren't allowed to replace them. So whether or not that meant by breeding bears or taking bears from the wild. So certainly I think that there have been some real milestones in terms of the law here in Vietnam to protect bears. I think what we really need to see now though is once and for all law that means that bears can no longer be kept on farms, so that they need to be removed to sanctuaries like ours.
Located deep in the Chặt Valley, Tam Đảo National Park, Vĩnh Phúc Province, and spreading 12 hectares, the Bear Rescue Center is taking care of 188 bears. Preparing food and feeding the bears is extremely important to help bears recover and grow. The bear's diet consists of various vegetables, fruits, and indispensable bear's favorites such as iced honey water, oats placed in rods, and yogurt mixed with dried fruit. Food is placed in bamboo tubes and plastic boxes or hung high on wooden bars to encourage bears to move. This technique is good for the bear's health and helps them regain their foraging instinct. Each bear house, which hosts 2 bears, is supervised by 7 to 9 vets from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Vets also observe and record the bear's daily activities.
Now let's talk about how you are caring for the bears here at the center. I know that all the works here are being carried out at international standards. Can you elaborate more on this?
Veterinary care here is run by vets who are able to be employed under the Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons or the Hong Kong Surgeons Board. And so that means that their degree has to be recognised throughout the world. And then we have equipment that is at the same standard that those vets are used to working with, and we're training our Vietnamese interns to use that equipment. And then it's all about taking modern medicine and the evidence that's there. So one of the first things I did when I started here was we have to see the back of the bear's eyes at our health checks. And there was evidence in the human medicine that could be done using your smartphone. So without any investment in new technology, we went from trying to draw pictures and write descriptions to taking videos and photos of the back of the bear's eyes. And it's all those steps like that, integrating the research on other species, humans and animals.
Well, our sanctuary is accredited by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries, so that's an internationally recognised organisation, and it's quite a stringent process to be accredited, so it means that the care here is up to the very highest standards. And like Sean said, with our bear care, our day-to-day husbandry and things, we also aim to take kind of new concepts and new ideas and incorporate them, so that we're always striving to make the bears' lives even better and better and better as we learn things sort of throughout the world. Part of that has been our cooperative care program. So that is basically using positive reinforcement to enable the bears to participate in their own care. So rather than needing to health check them all the time, we can check different parts of their bodies, because they've learned that if I present by opening my mouth, you'll give me this reward. So our vets can check the bear's teeth. We can trim the bear's nails. So some of the bears, because of the mobility issues that they have from being on the farms for so long, they don't wear down their nails properly and they can get quite long. But by participating in the cooperative care program, they let us trim their nails for them, and they just sit there and get delicious treats like honey and condensed milk, and they love it. So it's a really stress-free way of taking care of them, and they really enjoy it.
Right.
We're empowering our local staff to do it as well, so we're providing them opportunities to learn all these different techniques and about welfare and about how to train animals and how to give them enrichment and take care of them, and we're bringing them along with us on the journey. And so the more people we train, the more people that know all these different techniques, and the better the care is for so many animals.
Is there anything special to keep in mind when caring for bears here?
I think my number one is letting bears be bears. You know, we want them to have choice and to be able to do what they want to do. And we teach all of our staff that while we do work cooperatively with the bears, and we do hand feed them things like their treats and medications as part of their daily routine, they're not our pets, and we're not, we're responsible for giving them everything that they need, and that they dictate what they need, not us. So I think that's really important.
Right. Sean?
Yeah, so for the vets, bears are big dogs that we can't walk them in, do what we could normally do with a dog in the vet clinic with hands-on care while they're conscious. When they're under anaesthetic, it really is like working on a big dog, but a 180 kilo dog, not an 80 kilo dog. And so it means for the interns and for vets and specialists who help us, if they have knowledge on how to do it on a dog, we can probably teach them how to do it on a bear, because the differences are small.
Heidi?
Yeah.
I would say one of the biggest considerations is looking at what science knows about bears and incorporating that into our husbandry and our medical routine. So in the wild, bears are really resource driven, and they go through these periods that are dictated by the seasons. So right now, bears would be really fat and getting ready to go to sleep, and we mimic that here. So if you look around our sanctuary, we have a lot of fat bears right now, because physiologically, that's how they should be right now. So I think that that's one of the challenges, but also I would argue one of Animals Asia's greatest successes. I don't think there's another organisation that looks after bears in the world that does it as well as we do.
Right. And bears also have personalities, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So are you confident that you know the personality of each and different bear?
Yeah, I could tell you some stories now. We have bears. Yeah, we learn to read their behaviour and sort of what they're telling us. So we have one bear whose name is Boo Boo, and he is very curious, and he really likes to investigate his environment. So when we rescue bears, the way that the truck pulls up is right next to Boo Boo's enclosure, and so Boo Boo likes to sort of sit at the fence and just watch and welcome them home, which is really sweet. And then we've got bears like Maple and Dream Mishatebs, who, they're our little old ladies, and they're very slow, and very sweet and very sleepy. Yeah, and then we've got younger bears like Joey and Ricky. They're siblings. They were rescued as cubs, and they are extraordinarily playful. They just love to investigate everything, and they're very naughty. And yeah, we've got any kind of personality that you can find in a human. I'm pretty sure we've got in our bears.
Although we're banned from using the word calm. Calm, because when we're trying to read bear behaviour and bear personality, like a calm person, you can't always tell if they're actually calm and it's easygoing and everything's okay, or if inside everything's shutting down and they're terrified and they don't know how to express their behaviour. So we're very careful when we see a bear that's calm to try and ask some more questions to figure out what their experience is at that time.
But I guess being patient and respect the bear is the key here.
Yeah, absolutely. Some bears adapt to sanctuary life really well within days. Some bears have taken months or years. So it's a process.
Yeah.
When we let the bears out into the enclosures for the first time, some bears are confident right away and just love to explore and go everywhere. Some bears, it's too much. There's too much sky, the grass feels funny, there's just too much going on, and it will take them longer. So it's really individual.
Today, I'm participating in a special health check at the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center. This is Colo. Colo was transferred to the center in 2010. Colo's eyes suffered from severe cataracts and was thought to turn blind. But thanks to a visit by ophthalmologist, Colo went through a surgery and his vision was partially restored.
So how often do you check the health of a bear?
So we try to do health checks at least every 3 years, and we aim for every 2 years. For the bears with chronic diseases such as hypertension, where we're high blood pressure, where we're having to modify their medicines. Yeah, vets are doctors too. And then this is the bear paw. And then you can see they're just about as big as the human hand, as you sure can.
Oh, it's so warm.
Yeah, and so soft.
So soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I could never do this in
No.
in everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what does it tell you, the paw of this bear?
So the way that it's all symmetrical and smooth, it means he walks well on this foot.
So smooth.
So for the bears who get rescued, they often go through a period of discomfort where that thickness, that dry, thick foot, they then start to use, and that cracks as it dries out. And then they're uncomfortable when that happens, and then after a few more months, they've got normal feet from walking on the concrete and the grass.
Should I put these back?
Yeah, let's keep them nice and warm. You don't think of Vietnam as a cold place, but in the north it certainly gets cold winters. We have to put blankets and little foot warmers on them in the winter to keep them warm.
So Sean, I had an opportunity to join you in a health check for bear this morning, and it shows a lot of meticulous work to do a health check for bears. Besides doing health check, how are bears being taken care of on a daily basis?
Yeah, so by the veterinary team, there's always a vet on what we call rounds. So they'll have a list of bears who are on medications that need checking. Maybe they've got some scratches, maybe we need to change their medications for their chronic conditions. And so they'll go around to the house morning, afternoon or evening to check on those bears. And we also video each month all the bears who have mobility problems, so who don't walk properly, so we can track how they go and how they change through the seasons as the weather changes.
But what about the nutrition or meals for the bear?
So we, as Heidi was saying before, the bears are really seasonal, and so in autumn they start to get really hungry and they eat a lot in preparation for winter when they can go into a dormancy, so they kind of get really sleepy. And then in spring they start to kind of decrease their appetite until summer, where they don't really eat that much. They just lie around and bathe and play and have a lot of fun. So our food mimics those trends. So at the moment they're at their highest food amounts for the year. So yes, as Heidi said, we do have some chubby bears. And then we introduce different foods at different times of year. So at the moment they're getting chestnuts, which is like a hard mast food that they might eat in the wild as well. And it just tells them, it's another indicator that, okay, it's autumn and now's the season that you're going to eat these different foods. And then we're in December now, so we've just started our winter enrichment calendar where they're getting a lot of different beddings and substrates, so that it kind of indicates to them, oh, okay, this is the time of year when you go to bed, you go to sleep.
So how do you guys communicate with bears?
For me, when I look at the bears, it's like I'm looking at another person. So if you look at the bear's face and you look in their eyes, you're communicating right there and then with another creature that's sentient and has feelings and emotions and complex thoughts, just like we do. Actually, secretly, sometimes I go and sing to the bears. So there's a bear in house 4, her name is Joy, and I'm very fond of her. And sometimes she comes over to the side of the fence and I will sit there and sing to her. I sing her the same song that my mum used to sing to me when I was a child.
Since 2006, the Vietnam Bear Rescue Center has rescued 232 bears and is now home to 188 bears. And they will be taken care of for the rest of their life, which may last for 30 years. So besides the foreign experts, who else are taking care of the bears? Let's join me to find out more.
An important factor in conserving wild animals like bears is veterinary care. Bears are often injured from hunting and improper transportation. A captive environment that's stressful and lacks nutrition can even lead to death if the animal is not provided timely and proper veterinary care. Vietnam needs a team of local vets who specialize in wildlife to participate in wild animal conservation. Therefore, Animals Asia has established a program to train vets, which is Vietnam's first ever groundbreaking program with a sustainable model.
Tôi có cơ hội trải nghiệm rất thú vị và nó mang lại cho mình nhiều sự thay đổi, kể cả trong cái phong cách làm việc và cái cuộc sống. Từ việc học những cái công việc nhỏ nhất thì bọn mình sẽ được nâng cao lên những cái công việc phức tạp hơn. Ví dụ như sẽ là chụp phim X-quang, siêu âm tim và siêu âm bụng. Tôi nghĩ rằng những cái chuyên gia nước ngoài đang làm việc ở đây, mọi người đều làm việc bằng cái niềm đam mê và một cái mục đích chung để mà bảo tồn động vật nói chung và động vật hoang dã nói riêng, nên là họ rất nhiệt huyết và sẵn sàng giúp đỡ tôi bất kỳ lúc nào mà tôi cần.
The program focuses on first-hand experience, investigation of disease causes, and treatment protocols for wild animals. Currently, Animals Asia is training 4 vets at the Bear Rescue Center.
Trung tâm cứu hộ gấu Việt Nam và làm nơi mà rất là một cái môi trường rất là tốt. Và đây thì mình được trải nghiệm một môi trường làm việc cực kỳ là chuyên nghiệp. Tất cả mọi thứ đều được các anh chị mang những cái công nghệ từ quốc tế về.
Besides training and transferring technology for interns, the Bear Rescue Center also allows the Vietnamese staff to develop professional and management skills related to bear care. Nguyễn Văn Chiến has worked at the Bear Rescue Center since 2008. Starting from the position of a bear caregiver, Chiến has gradually taken on more positions with his learning efforts and the help of foreign experts. He has moved from being a group leader to supervising the bear care team and has now become a Vietnamese bear manager, a position previously held only by foreign experts.
Tôi học được một cách từ các chuyên gia nước ngoài này, khi làm việc động vật ấy, mình phải luôn giữ được một cái tinh thần gọi là bình tĩnh này, nhẹ nhàng này, làm sao để mang lại một cái niềm tin cho động vật. Chú gấu chó bắt đầu là cũng tin tưởng mình hơn, cũng bắt đầu là không còn những cái hành vi mà đe dọa cái người chăm sóc nữa, rồi thì chúng cảm giác là tận hưởng vui vẻ những cái đồ ăn mà mình mang lại. thì từ cái thời điểm đấy là tôi cảm thấy yêu công việc, chăm sóc gấu hơn. Trung tâm gấu Việt Nam giống là gia đình thứ hai của tôi.
So now let's talk about training.
So the Vietnamese staff are being trained to take over the positions previously held only by foreign experts. So tell me more about the process of training.
I think the biggest indicators of success are there's a couple of key positions in our team that, as you say, were historically always held by an expat. We now have Vietnamese colleagues in those roles and they're shining. They're doing the most extraordinary job. So Chuyện is our first ever Vietnamese bear team manager. So he, with Sarah, heads up and oversees the bear care team here on site, which is one of the biggest teams, dozens and dozens of team members. And then we also have Hiep, another bear team manager, who is new to the role but doing the most extraordinary job. And then we of course also have Vietnamese vets here under Sean and the team in the veterinary intern program. So it's wonderful. It's going really well.
Why do you guys think it's necessary to launch such kind of training?
So to be frank, I feel as guests in Vietnam that we are obligated to transfer our skills. So if we're brought over into this country as expatriate experts, because we've had the good fortune to accrue a certain body of expertise, that we owe it to Vietnam and we owe it to our colleagues to pass as many of our skills on. One thing that I often think about is our original MOU with the government here in Vietnam was to run the Vietnam Bear Rescue Centre to last year, to 2020. Now we recently renewed that to 2030 for another 10 years, and that's because the government felt that there wasn't yet capacity in country to be able to run a facility like this. So really when we're doing capacity building, this is what we're doing. We don't want to perpetuate that cycle where it relies on flying in expatriate experts all the time. This should be something that's Vietnamese run and Vietnamese led, and so that's really why it's important. It's why we're doing what we're doing.
Can you tell me what exactly are you training them, the Vietnamese staff?
So for my team, our experts, we have a lot of knowledge in really current behavioural skills. So things like training, like a cooperative care program, like animal welfare, reading behaviour of animals, nutrition, a lot of those sort of things. And so we're passing on that sort of knowledge that is quite new. We take those skills that we were lucky enough to learn in our home countries and we can teach everyone here. And there's not a lot of scope for that learning in Vietnam yet. So Sean and I have both guest lectured in a Wild Act captive animal welfare course as well, just to help really spread the word to more than just our staff, but across Vietnam, give them the opportunity to learn some of this really up-to-date sort of behavioural knowledge.
So how is such kind of training helping the Vietnamese staff change for the better?
When I think about the capacity building that we've done on site, actually one thing that I want to talk about is the work that we've done in terms of developing women's career pathways, especially here. So it came about because we critically looked at the demographics of our staff. We have around 70% women on our workforce, and yet when we looked at the leadership structure in our team, that statistic, it wasn't reflected in the higher level positions in our team. So once upon a time we had teams here, for example the nutrition team who work in the bear kitchen area. That was always considered women's work. Now we've broken down those stereotypes and we now have a team that is gender diverse. We have more than just women there. All of the research shows that a strong team, a strong organisation, a strong business, government is gender diverse, and that's what we're trying to replicate here. And I think the most important thing about that, it's not just for our women on our team, but I think about the little girls and the nieces and the young women in our local communities that look at the women in our team as role models and as examples of what they can achieve in their career. And that just because they're women doesn't mean they can't do something. They're equally as capable as anyone. So for the first time in the sanctuary's history, we now have a female supervisor on the team. It's wonderful. And I predict we will just see more and more women rise up through the ranks.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's a personal passion as well.
So why did you choose to work in Vietnam?
For me, I've had a long history with Vietnam. I first came out here to work in the year 2000, so 21 years ago. I was based in national parks back then. Even before that, when I was studying my undergraduate degree in Australia, I happened to board with a Vietnamese family in Australia. So I have this long history of being called back to Vietnam. And this time I've been here since 2015, and I don't know how to explain it other than my heart feels at home here. I miss Vietnam when I leave. There's just something about this country that I love, and I'm committed to this country.
But do you know what it is, maybe? Can you guess?
It's the people. I know a lot of people say that, but there's something magical about Vietnamese people, the energy that Vietnamese people show up with. There's such kindness here in this country. I have an example from last night. Our security guards at 9 o'clock at night came and tapped on my door and delivered me some food they'd cooked for me because they was worried I didn't have dinner. I'm not sure that would happen in Australia. Vietnam is magic. Yeah, it's really special. I think it's that. Yeah.
What about you too?
What brought you to Vietnam?
The position with Animals Asia is what brought me to Vietnam. I'd never been here before, but I am like Heidi, I love it. It's so nice here. I mean, like, look around us. It's just this beautiful national park that we live in. I just feel so lucky, and our whole team is so nice and so kind, and they invite us out for dinner and welcome us as part of their family. And I think it's really similar to Heidi in that it's the people and the kindness that they always show us and the support that they give us, and you know, all of our team, not just the team out here, but even our team in Hanoi, just so helpful when we're missing home, you know, haven't been able to see our families because of COVID. They just, anything that they can do to help us be settled and happy, they're going to drop everything and do it. They're just wonderful, wonderful people.
So you came in what year?
In 2018.
2008.
So I was trained in New Zealand, but I moved to the UK and was there for 5 years, and leading a large 24-hour hospital there, and then came to Vietnam.
Right. So it's 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
Yeah, and 2 years with COVID.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Difficult and a blessing though. The first year of COVID, we couldn't go home and we couldn't leave the country, but Vietnam was handling it, and life here was pretty normal. And then this year, sadly, with the Delta variant, life around the world changed once again for everyone. But what Vietnam has done, I feel incredibly safe. I don't know how you two feel about that.
What does this work mean to you? Because taking care and spending time, a lot of time with the bears, it's quite a unique job. And so, how do you feel?
I think it's paradise. It's amazing. Right by the river, and we're surrounded by bears. It's a privilege. You know, it's a real privilege to do the work that we do and to live here. We're so lucky. We're so, so lucky.
Yeah. What about you, Sean? Do you imagine yourself doing other things or
No.
different jobs?
No, it's the longest I've spent working for an organisation has been here in Vietnam with Animals Asia, and anytime someone's asked me about when are you coming back to New Zealand, I point out that my job doesn't exist there. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. To be training the interns in the future of Vietnam, to be looking after the species, to have all the equipment and tools that we do here to change animals' lives. I don't know how I could ever leave.
Is it true that there are not many bear experts, even on the global scale?
I think it's a particular skill set. I think there's a lot of different kinds of bear experts. So there are a lot of scientists with a particular research background. There's a particular skill set in our team here, and I think Sarah and Sean would be some of the best people in the world at what they do. I can say that without reservation. So I think that there's a large bear community around the world, but I think in terms of the particular things that we do, we'd be right at the top.
There's definitely no one else with 188 bears in their care, and soon to be, approaching 500 that us three will be leading the care in.
So we're about to start building our second bear rescue centre here in the country, which will be home to 300 bears. And so collectively across this site and Bac Ma, we'll have 500.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what is your favorite part of the work?
For me, it is knowing that we are about to do something amazing here in this country. Alongside the Vietnamese government, we're about to end one of the cruelest trades in the world. And I think that that's extraordinary. That's the best part. Knowing that I'm playing a small part in that is what gets me out of bed in the morning. And I absolutely feel so excited about it, knowing that in just the next couple of years we are going to end bear bile farming. That is absolutely the best part of the job, without a doubt. I think by 2025 or 2026, then I forecast we'll probably be looking at taking the last bears off farms then. It's not long away. That will come quickly.
So what keeps you staying with the center and Vietnam over the years?
I want to be here to celebrate Vietnam when bear bile farming comes to an end. I want to be here when that spotlight on the global stage shines squarely on Vietnam and Vietnam proves herself as a leader in conservation and animal welfare, because I know that's going to happen. I want to be here to celebrate that and know that I had a small part in that process. That's going to be extraordinary because I know all eyes will be on our country. It's amazing. Plus I love my job. My home is here, my heart is here, my 2 cats are here. My plans are to stay here.
So what about the center's future plan? Can you share with us?
Yeah, sure. So next year we will finally break ground on a new sanctuary in the beautiful Bac Ma National Park. So that's going to be a facility for 300 bears. The most exciting thing about that project though is that facility will be solely Vietnamese run and Vietnamese led. That's extraordinary. It's going to be one of the best sanctuaries not only in the country but in the region, and Vietnam, solely Vietnam, will be responsible for that. We'll be so incredibly proud of it. So that's what's next for us.
Yeah. Hundreds thanks to your training and support of the Vietnamese staff and trainees. Yeah. Thanks. That brought us to the end of Talk Vietnam. Let's say goodbye to our audience.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.